Hello, our first video of the chapter is working with radicals. In the past, you've just plugged them into your calculator and gotten decimals. From here on out in math, we usually look at radicals and we leave them in square root form, but we leave them in simplified square root form, which by the end of today's lesson, hopefully, uh, you start to understand. Actually, after the next lesson. But we'll start up today. This should be quick. If we are going to add two things with a square root of 7, if we want to keep the square root there, which we want every answer to not be a decimal here, when we add these together, it's just like adding 3x and 5x. We would add together, and it would be 8 root 7. So 8 root 7. And now if we are going to add 7 root 2 and root 2, that's like adding 7x plus x. That would be 8x. Here it would be 8 root 2. Now subtraction works the same way as long as these two roots are the same. 9 root 3 minus 7 root 3 is 2 root 3. We're just subtracting these coefficients. Now if we have 12 root 5 minus 5 root 2, since the value under the square root is different, we can't subtract those or add them because just like 12x minus 5y, those are two different values. We can't deal with them. So this is as simplified as that gets. Now when we're multiplying though, we can deal with things that are different. Multiplying, this is just like 2 times root 5 times root 2. Now we multiply, if something's under a square root, it can multiply by something else under the square root. If it's outside, it just multiplies with anything outside. Here we could multiply them together to get 2 times the square root of 10. Here, if this is like 5 times 3 times root 2, the two things we can multiply are the 5 and the 3. So it's just going to be 15, and the root 2 just stays by itself. There's nothing to multiply it with. So if we do this, just the 7 and the 3, so 8 root 21. And now a slightly more complicated one. We can multiply things outside with outside, so that's going to be 21. Root 5 and root 11, that's root 55. And this is multiplied out. Now keep in mind, this is not foiling. This is not expanding there's not an addition sign or a subtraction sign. We're not doing first, insides, outsides, last. We're just, this is a different thing altogether. We're just multiplying two values. Now this one, if I square something, that's like 2 root 3 times 2 root 3. And 2 times 2 is 4. Root 3 times root 3 is root 9. Now, hold up a second. We know root 9 is 3, so 4 times 3 is 12. So if I have 2 root 3 squared, that's going to be 12. Here, now we do have an addition. So when we have an addition, this is going to go over the parentheses and go to both of them. Now 2 can just be multiplied by the 4. The root 3 comes along. Here, the 3 and the 6 go together. So that's going to be 4 root 18. Now, I really don't like this root 18, and I'll explain more in the next video. But for now, I'm going to deal with it as an answer. All right. Here, same thing. We're multiplying over the parentheses. 4 root 2 times root 4 is 4 root 4. That's going to be root 2 times 3, which is root 6. And now square root of 4 is 2. So this is 4 times 2 plus root 6, which will be just 8 times root 6. Now, same thing with division. We can divide them um, if we can. So the 5, oops, I just messed up there. It's going to be 5 root 8. I also don't like that root 8, and we'll talk about that in the next lesson. But I can simplify things that are common since those do not have square roots. All right, now I want you guys to finish these and the rest of the page.